Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Vaughn with How She Got There, a Next In podcast. And my guest today is Adriana Gascoigne, and she is the founder and CEO of Girls in Tech. They recently moved from the West Coast all the way out here to Nashville, and we're so excited to talk to her today. How are you, Adriana?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Jamie.
Oh, good. Well, we're very excited to have you here in the tech ecosystem of Nashville. So, and I can't wait to see what we all are able to accomplish together in the next few years.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
So I ask everybody when they come on, the very first question is, where did you grow up and what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I love that question because I oftentimes don't get to talk about like how things have evolved over the years.
Mhm.
And, when I was a kid, I very much was drawn to art. So I'm a very creative person, and I really enjoyed going to art museums and drawing and, trying out different mediums. So whether it was like oil paints or watercolors or airbrushing, it was something that I was very enthusiastic about and could do it for hours and hours and hours.
Mhm.
And so when I was in high school, I got into some courses, some drawing courses, and then wanted to become a fashion designer because I love fashion as well as drawing. And so I started drawing different types of fashion that I thought I would want to wear or other people would want to wear, that were unique to me. And I'd go to fashion shows at like Otis School of Design, Pasadena Art Center, things like that. And I realized that, it is a very difficult industry to get into.
Mhm.
And while I did get into some fashion design schools when I was finishing up high school, I decided to maybe broaden the scope of educational opportunities, to not limit myself in case I didn't want to become a fashion designer. And
Mhm.
that's what I did. I didn't end up going to a fashion centric school, and I went to University of California at Davis
Okay.
and got a major in sociology. But I still love fashion. My husband can attest to that. I I spend probably a little too much money on it, but I really enjoy it, and I'm an enthusiast and follow a lot of great designers.
Yeah. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town called Westlake Village, and it's north of Los Angeles, about like
Mhm.
30, 40 minutes. You've probably heard of Thousand Oaks or Calabasas or Agoura Hills, but it was right around there. And it was an interesting place to be raised. I think it's one of those really, really safe neighborhoods,
Uh-huh.
with very little diversity. But we moved there when it was called the first neighborhood because it was literally the first neighborhood built in Westlake Village.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so my parents bought the home in 1982, and we were the second owners of that home.
Mhm.
And it was a great, looking back, it was a great environment, great place to live, great place to grow up. Again, very safe. The
Mhm.
schooling system was amazing. But, I definitely had interest to learn about other cultures and see other places and live other places. So
Mhm.
I did a lot of moving around in my adult years.
So you go to UC Davis,
Mhm.
sociology degree, and then you end up working a ton in marketing. So how did that end up with you creating Girls in Tech? How did that all come about?
Yeah, so I'll give you the short version because there are a lot of little details, but my family friend worked at a public relations advertising company called Manning Salvage and Lee, and that was in downtown LA area. And she sort of took me under her wing and provided me with the first internship I've ever had. So that was my freshman year at university, and usually I would have internships over the summertime. So I got exposed to this crazy, wonderful world of advertising and public relations, and didn't really know how I would apply my sociology degree. I thought about dabbling in social work and, really helping others less fortunate, but I still wasn't sure. what my path was. So I just went on, the rest of my college career and had internships in PR and advertising. And then when I moved around a bit, continued on sort of that track, and then ended up in San Francisco, where I was doing the same thing, sort of brand marketing for tech companies. And that's when sort of the Web 2.0 world started taking off.
Mhm.
And one of my clients was a startup. So that startup was my first foray into working internally as a brand marketer, as the head of product marketing for a startup. And it was a business to consumer startup that was much like Netflix and YouTube combined, a little before its time. But
Okay.
it was a really awesome experience that enabled me to be really creative, learn more about the tech world, learn about how the trends were really impacting user behaviors, and really try out new and interesting, innovative things with my team. And I really, really loved it, but I was the only female at the company.
Oh,
And that was sort of how, well, there was a lot of negative experiences. It wasn't just positive, but as you can imagine, being the only female out of, 35 employees, and a lot of young employees, right? So a lot of people didn't know how to interact with somebody of the opposite sex. Like there was no accountability in terms of managing HR issues. So it was a new company, and I just didn't think that they dealt with it or knew how to deal with one, recruitment of diverse teams, and how to manage, issues, or things that would come about based on just employees not knowing how to interact with one another. So I started Girls in Tech after that, and what's something that became sort of a passion project networking event has now turned into a pretty massive global organization. We exist in 50 cities around the world and 40 countries, and we're still growing. So it's
yeah.
really, really exciting.
Well, I was at the Nashville event back in September and blown away by what you were doing. And I had no idea that it was such a big deal until people next to me were saying that they had flown in from Romania. I mean, that blew my mind. So, hearing that it just went from being a networking event to being this huge conference that you can come in and hear some of the most amazing women in technology come in and speak to you and tell their stories. I loved it. I can't wait to see what holes that fills. So what are some of the holes that girls in tech are helping to fill in the marketplace?
So we really are focused in two major areas. One is career development and job placement. So making sure that women are exposed to great opportunities and jobs that can really support them in achieving their mission and their goals, and their career aspirations. The other is skill building. So we really are focused on upskilling, helping provide advanced learning environments for women to become more marketable
Mhm.
in the workforce, but also learn and grow and really tap into understanding what their passion and purpose is in life. So we teach, hard skills as well as soft skills. And over the last 15 years, we have been really focused on testing different types of curriculum and seeing what sticks, seeing the impact that we're making, but also what's highest in demand from our member base around the world. So we continuously have produced our hackathon series, our startup challenge, which is a business pitch competition for women. We have a mentorship program that is always oversold with over 1,000 people involved. So we have 500 mentors, 500 mentees.
Mhm.
We are introducing an internship career fair and program for our university students that are our members around the world. And we also do, specific hard skill building boot camps that are both online and in person.
Mhm.
So things like how to code in Python for machine learning, data science, web development. design thinking, leadership development, career development. So all of these things have really supported our community in a big way. But just as the tech industry changes I don't know, it seems like every month or every minute,
right?
We are changing as well. And we have to keep our finger on the pulse to see what are sort of the new coding languages that people want to learn more about. What are the industry trends that are going on? Like more people are in blockchain and crypto and Web3. Cybersecurity is becoming really big for, diversity in the workforce. And also data science. We're seeing many more women apply for jobs in data science, specifically at big companies like IBM. So this is a really exciting time for us to again, just grow and be able to provide the curriculum and programming in the community and mentorship to our members. And we're seeing such a huge impact because we've grown so exponentially, especially during COVID, where people needed even more support than normal.
And what made you move it from the West Coast to Nashville?
That's a great question. So it started off as more a personal thing. So my husband and I came to visit some friends here in Nashville, and she's a realtor and he's in construction. So they knew a lot about the market. And I think it was a timing thing. And, we loved what we saw. And to be honest, I had never visited Nashville in my life before that time. And I loved it. I think this is such a beautiful city. And the thing that really stood out to me the most was how intentional people are in terms of building community and building bridges and helping each other. And, very authentic in terms of building friendships. And, I have to say that has not been the case, or my personal experience, in the Bay Area. And when people came out of the woodworks to help support me and Girls in Tech during the conference, specifically, whether it was the government and the mayor's office or the media, local institutions like Vanderbilt University, I just felt so loved and cared for. And we just moved here in April. So it's a really big deal for me. And also in terms of, building a business, I feel like, as I'm sure the tax situation is a lot better here. And I think things overall, the cost of living, the cost of running a business is a lot more reasonable and economical for us. I also feel like the talent is great here. I can access really wonderful talent. I can support remote workers if necessary. And it really has been the right move for us. So we're really happy here.
Good. I'm glad that you got to experience true Southern hospitality from the get-go.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it is. And I didn't realize what it was, and because when you visit, you get a taste of it. But when you live here, it's totally different. You talk to your neighbors, you hang out with your neighbors. You wave hi to random people on the street and say good morning, and that's how it is here, which I love.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad you're very happy here. I love Nashville too. So what is a day in the life of being the CEO of Girls in Tech? What does that entail?
Yeah, so every day is really, really different. I really enjoy speaking engagements and interacting with the media, going on podcasts, meeting people within different industries that can help support Girls in Tech and our mission, but also that I can help support, and Girls in Tech can help support their mission. So collaborations are endless. I really like brainstorming and building bridges where I can. But in terms of what I do, I basically, leave the mornings to my, personal activities, walking the dog, reading the news, listening to podcasts, meditating, things like that that are important to me. And then I start my work day with, looking at emails and making sure that, the most important emails are dealt with and answered in a timely manner, and then get into calls. So I do have tons and tons and tons of calls, primarily with my team. I manage a phenomenal team of talented individuals that handle everything from program coordination to sponsorship to design and marketing, you name it. It's a pretty active team, and we're global. So I'm working off of many different time zones, from Australia to Asia to Argentina to the US. So it's never a dull moment. But I really enjoy the speaking engagements. I really enjoy creating awareness of what we're doing and really building allies amongst our community members and people around the world who want to support and get more involved in the organization.
So if someone wants to find a local chapter, how do they do that? Or if they don't have a local chapter, how will they start one?
Yeah, so right now we're actually not actively launching new chapters, just because we're hunkering down and providing the support our current chapters need in a bigger way. But you can still fill out a form that is on our website, girlsintech.org, and we will add you to an interest list for a national chapter in your city. And you can also sign up to the newsletter and also sign up to your chapter website and social media accounts if that's something that you're interested in. You can you can access all of that on girlsintech.org.
Okay. So what is some career advice or best lessons learned that you'd like to pass along to our viewers?
The first piece of advice I would say is really build your network. Networking is probably the single most important thing I've learned to do. As an INFJ, I am an introvert and I don't like networking. In my nature, it takes a lot of work and a lot of energy. But especially in my younger years, jumping into the tech field, I feel that it was extremely valuable, and I couldn't have grown Girls in Tech without it. So I call it building your personal advisory board. And you don't have to have an official contract or approach it in that way, but just pick and choose, 5 or 6 people who are influential. You may know them or you may not know them, and you may want to build a relationship with them. Just send them a message on LinkedIn or get an introduction if you can. But essentially keep them close to you, build that rapport with them, build a reciprocal relationship with them, and then just tap them for advice and guidance when you need it. I think this is so important to me, and has been really influential in guiding Girls in Tech, especially from somebody who is more of a marketer and on the business side of things and less so on the technical side of things. I've really tapped into my advisory board to help with programming and curriculum and fundraising and things like that. It's been really helpful. The next thing I would say is, take risks. The reason why Girls in Tech exists is because I took a risk in myself, and I was dealt with a very challenging situation where I was stuck paying a really, really large bill and committed to a conference that, I didn't initially sign off on, but because, I am the president of Girls in Tech, the CEO of Girls in Tech, I had to take care of that. And I was responsible for that. And so I quit my startup job that I was currently working with, and I had to start fundraising. And I really didn't like to ask for money. I really didn't know how to do it. But I also didn't have $95,000 in my bank account to pay for that hotel for the conference. So I'm like, I have no choice. And when rubber met the road, I put my skills to the test and was able to raise that $95,000 and actually twice as much. So not only was I able to pay that bill, but I was able to go on and do it, for a full-time job. So that was amazing, an amazing experience and a hard experience.
Mhm.
But I took that risk in myself. I believed in myself and accomplished that goal. So that was great. And yeah, and I guess the other thing is the last thing I'll say is be resourceful. There's so many different types of resources out there. The Girls in Tech Jobs Board is one of them, and all our programming and our community is another. But there's so many ways that you can sort of teach yourself vocational skills or join different types of organizations, whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to launch a product or service, or if you are interested in making a lateral move as a coder to a designer, or jump into the tech field from a totally different industry. There are so many opportunities, and don't let this big tech sector fool you.
Yes.
I feel like anything can be learned if you put your heart, soul, and mind into it.
Yeah, very true. We have a saying here that everyone works in tech, whether you know it or not.
Exactly.
Yep. So you can have that marketer mindset like I do and go and work in tech, and I don't know anything about technology. So
Sometimes I don't feel like I know anything either. My husband is our IT support at our business, at our house, and he always goes, "I should create my own organization, Boys in Tech."
yes. So as we wrap up, I always want to hear what inspires our guests. So could you tell us what inspires you?
I get inspired by engaging and interacting with our managing directors and really understanding their passions to support the organization, because our managing directors from around the world in 50 cities, they do it out of the goodness of their hearts. They are all volunteers, as are their advisory board teams. And so when I have conversations with them, not only am I super grateful and acknowledge that they're taking time out of their work or time out of their personal lives to invest in Girls in Tech, but they really, really believe in the mission. They really believe in the mission, the impact that we're making, and the fact that, diversity in the tech workforce really matters. And it is something that we will not be able to see that change without the support and investment of these awesome ladies from around the world. So we're very, very excited to have them involved and to see things grow and flourish, especially in the marginalized, more underprivileged regions around the world that are developing. That is something that we're truly investing more resources into. So
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And I really can't wait to see how Girls in Tech grows worldwide, but also here in the heart of Nashville.
thank you so much, Jamie. It was a pleasure speaking with you.